dangerous to the EU's border countries. There's multiple parts to the Greek frontier. One of them is the Evros River, where that wall's been built. This is a small strip of land that separates Turkey and Greece. These two countries used to be at war, so once again, that's a militarized frontier. It used to be landmined when Turkey and Greece were actually at war. Landmines have killed 108 migrants and wounded 187. People also drowned trying to cross the river Evros, and a migrant organisation called Welcome to the European Union found a mass grave of estimated 200 people who had been buried by the Greek authorities with no attempts to identify them, perform any burial rites, or put them in coffins. It was just scooped a hole in the ground with a digger and put them in there. Also on the Evros border, there is regular arbitrary deportation back to Turkey and vice versa. Just like with Spain and Morocco, Greece and Turkey are often highly antagonistic to each other, so there isn't a great degree of cooperation. There was one single group, I believe they're from Eritrea, that was deported, sort of shuffled between Turkey and Greece 4 times before people managed to come to some kind of agreement. That's the Evros border. The other border between Turkey and Greece is the Aegean Sea, which is also a disputed zone as well. So you have a military tension, and then you stack a humanitarian problem on top of that, which makes things even more problematic. Again, deaths through drowning, boats breaking down and not being seaworthy, and there's also been cases and allegations of both Greek and Turkish navies sabotaging migrant boats by slashing the inflatable sections or disabling the motors, so they can't actually arrive at their objective. That's the border. Internally in Greece, things are also quite bad. Obviously, they have the economic crisis and to a great degree breakdown of democracy. At one point, for some time, Greece was run by an appointed prime minister who was sent from the European Union, who wasn't even democratically elected by those people. They now have had a democratically elected leader, but it's very exemplary of how serious the situation is. And as in many European countries, as in Spain, as in Britain, in Greece, migrants being scapegoated is one of the causes of economic problems. Apparently, it wasn't bankers that crashed the economy, it was desperate refugees from the world's poorest and most war-torn countries. Who knew? So they're being scapegoated to a very great extent. They're being portrayed as a security threat, a cultural threat, and also as a biological threat as people that carry infectious diseases. One of the main operations by Greece is called Operation Xenosus to round up migrants. The image in the top right shows that. That's a train station, and they basically surrounded the train with military police on both sides, and then they took anyone away who looked foreign and marched them to a detention camp. The situation in terms of racism in Greece is built up so much that the US Embassy has actually issued a travel warning to all American citizens that they said essentially, if you look like you're non-European, it's highly possible you will be attacked or abused in some way. And that was after a Korean guy and an African-American US citizen were both assaulted by police. They began to use what in the Greeks themselves term concentration camps to house people. Now I realise this is a very, very sensitive word and I do use it carefully. However, the definition of concentration camp is a place in which large numbers of people, especially political prisoners or members of persecuted minorities, are deliberately imprisoned in a relatively small area with inadequate facilities, sometimes to provide forced labour or to await mass execution. Now there isn't really any mass execution or forced labour that I'm aware of, or the borders are aware of, but that isn't necessary for something to constitute as a concentration camp. So the middle image we have here is of one of these. They're open spaces like this, just barbed wire and concertina, run by the military, where people of all ages are held. You can see in that image there's a kid can't be more than like 2 years old. There's also been instances of pregnant women being held there, children and elderly people, mixed gender, mixed nationality, mixed ethnicity. There's a few, I think Amnesty wrote a report about one of the Greek detention centres, and they said detainees slept on floors which were permanently flooded due to a faulty plumbing and were rarely allowed to exercise. The centre, built to hold 300, accommodated 830 detainees, including mothers with babies and at least one pregnant woman. And that was the Lesbos Detention Centre in 2008. Police are extremely violent, and there's another Amnesty report here that says one example of this practice is in 2008, police officers outside the Aliens Directorate in Athens, which is where migrants go for claiming asylum, attacked a crowd of asylum seekers waiting to file applications, killing one man and injuring several others. The Directorate has reportedly been refusing to accept new applications for the past 2 months. To add on top of that, which is purely Greek state, we also have seen the rise of Golden Dawn in Greece, which then presents another aspect of the crisis. The Golden Dawn, unlike most far-right groups in the rest of Europe, who pretend not to be Nazis, Golden Dawn are openly Nazi. Their magazine always references someone from the Nazi party. Last month it was Rudolf Hess. And they've stated in Parliament that migrants are subhuman. They're cooperating with the police both to attack left-wing anti-austerity demonstrations and also to attack migrants. And there's an average of 500 hate crimes reported per month. Bear in mind that's only what's reported, and normally reports a tiny percentile of the overall of sort of what's going on.